Conservative Party conference this week in Birmingham. The chairman, Richard Fuller, is joining us now. Hello to you, Mr. Fuller. Thanks for taking the time. I was reading from some of your previous colleagues, Conservatives Together, and Grant Shapps in charge of that. And he says that this party needs to learn from the Liberal Democrats. What would you say in response?
Well, I think it's always important to learn from other political parties, and I know that the Liberal Democrats did a particularly good review after their election losses in 2019 and had a good result in the most recent election, and that's one of the sources that we will definitely be looking at, yes.
What went wrong? I mean, you were such a party of force, and now you only need a couple of coaches for all your MPs to get there.
Yeah, well, maybe more than a couple of coaches, but your core point is absolute. Your core point is right, which is, why did the Conservative Party, which has been this election-winning force for so many years, the party that is the default choice for the British public, why did we end up in this election with such a low number of MPs? And I think it comes down to the behaviour of the parliamentary party. We looked divided, we looked like we were self-serving, and those things led us to lose focus on competent delivery on the priorities that the British public had asked us to look at when they voted for us in 2019. So the Conservative Party parliamentary party has got to learn those lessons and change.
Big day for the four candidates. I believe that the party has bowed to pressure and allowed them to have more time on stage to address those in the hall. What do you want to hear?
So we've got three sessions, actually. So we've got a session where each of the candidates sit down for a cosy chat themselves in an interview with 4,000 of us watching on, where they'll go through some of their motivations for getting involved in public service. And then there'll be questions from the floor for each of the candidates about their policy ideas in particular topic areas. And then on Wednesday, we have the opportunity for each of our members to listen to the candidates, lay out their vision for the country. So it's going to be three very busy days for the four candidates for leadership. But that's what you expect. They're trying to be leader of a major political party, potentially a prime minister. So we're going to try and put them through their paces.
Why is it taking so long?
Well, this was a discussion that we had some weeks ago, and there was one point of view which said, let's have the final two here and maybe select the one on the last day. That would be exciting. But the 1922 committee, the MPs group, were very clear. They wanted it to be longer. They wanted more exposure for the people, the four candidates, over a more extended period of time. And we ended up with this time frame, and that's fine. It's an exciting conference. People are quite excited to listen and engage with all four candidates. So it has its pluses and minuses.
And of course, the longer it goes on, the more banana skins they fall over.
Well, hopefully not, but I guess that's the nature of everyday life. Look at Sir Keir Starmer, he's falling over his own banana skins. That's the nature of politics.
I'm talking about your lot, and particularly Kemi Badenoch. What's she going on about?
Well, she's been clear that she has clarified her position that she was talking about. She said that the point that she was trying to make was about business regulations generally, not the particular issue that was mentioned in the interview. And I think on business regulations there is a question here that's important in politics. We're going to hear soon from the Labour government about their changes on regulations on employment laws from day one, and that will have an impact on small businesses. And I think it's right that we should have our candidates talk about that.
So you support what she said?
Well, I didn't listen to the specifics of it. I think
the
point I would say is that I have read it, and look, the Conservative Party brought in statutory maternity pay, and we support statutory paternity pay as well. So, of course, I'm going to say those are the things that I want us to see continue. But in the broader context of employment regulations, particularly on our small businesses, there is a topic there, and I would either, and it's up to her to decide what she wants to focus her campaign on. But I think, as I said, I think she was thinking about those broader issues of regulation on small businesses.
So, having read word for word what she said, do you support her?
Well, I don't support any of the candidates. I support all of the candidates.
Do you support what she said?
And that's my job as party. Well, I've been clear on maternity pay, what my view is, which is that the Conservative Party brought in maternity pay. I think it's perfectly fine, maternity pay. And I don't actually think, if you talk to businesses, talk to the CBI, when they look and their concerns about these broader changes in business regulations that the Labour Party may bring in, maternity pay is not one of them, and I think they're right.
Obviously, being chairman, you can't support or publicly support any particular candidate. But I wondered what you think about Robert Jenrick suggesting that there should be a Star of David at every port in the UK to show people coming from Israel that they have our full support.
Well, it's for Mr. Jenrick to lay out if that's what he thinks is important.
That's why I'm asking you.
Well, you're asking me my view on a particular policy of a particular candidate, not the policy of the Conservative Party. And it's up to Mr. Jenrick. He's one of 4 candidates. The people you should be asking the question to, if I may say, isn't me, it's the other 3 candidates to see if there's a difference of opinion. It's not our party's policy to do that. If Mr. Jenrick becomes leader, then he can decide if that's an issue he wants to push.
You're the chairman of the party, you're the chairman of the Conservative Party. I'm asking you whether one of the 4 candidates who would want to be leader and potentially Prime Minister come the next election, you support his suggestion that a Star of David should be on display at every port of entry to the UK to show support for Jewish and Israeli people coming into the country.
Well, as I say, if Mr. Jenrick becomes leader of the party, then that will be a matter for the party to have a view upon. He would put it forward as leader of the party. Right now, he's putting forward, as all the candidates are, what they think are the priorities for the country. The people who are going to be judging whether that's the right direction for our party and our country are going to be, first of all, the MPs who will whittle down the 4 to 2, and then the Conservative Party members who are listening now to what Mr. Jenrick said, what Ms. Badenoch said, and what the other candidates were saying, and they'll then make their determination about who they think has the right set of policies. They're the ones who should be deciding, not me.
OK, so just to clarify, as chairman of the party, you don't have a view on something that could divide the party and potentially the nation?
Well, I may have views, I may not choose to express them because I have a role in the selection process of the leader.
Are you sure you don't want to comment on it?
Yes.
How interesting. Let's see where that goes from here. Let me ask you about winter fuel payments. Perhaps you've got a view on that. Robert Jenrick saying he would reintroduce them if he became leader and subsequently Prime Minister. What do you think?
Well, I was part of a campaigning day that we had in Solihull on Saturday, and we had a petition about the choices that Rachel Reeves has made about cutting winter fuel payments. And you know, when you stand on a street corner and you try and get petitions signed, you usually get 1 or 2. Most people aren't interested. In Solihull, we had people lining up to sign because they feel that cutting the winter fuel payment for pensioners is the wrong choice. And I think that's right. I think Rachel Reeves has made a mistake. I don't think that that was the right decision to make, and it looks a particularly bad choice when she does it in isolation from her budget, and at the same time as she is giving very large increases to public sector workers, above inflation increases to public sector workers. That looks like an odd timing and an odd choice for people to make.
OK, I'm a bit perplexed. You have a view on that, but you don't have a view on whether or not we should see the Star of David being displayed.
Well, the Conservative Party has a view. The Conservative Party has a view on winter fuel payments.
Yeah, but I put it specifically to you. I put it specifically to you, sir, if I may, that it was Robert Jenrick who had said that. So you're happy to comment on what Robert Jenrick said about that, but not about other things.
No, well, you can take your interpretation, of course, but my point was that well, that's fine. That's fine.
OK. Thanks very much indeed for joining us on the programme this morning. Thank you.